the Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers would be going up against one another in the WNBA.
For the past 5 years, basketball fans have been following one of the sport's most talked about rivalries. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. Both were standout stars in high school, but they chose very different paths. Clark took her talents to Iowa, while Bueckers became the face of UConn. Throughout their college careers, Clark consistently had the upper hand, especially when it mattered most, in the NCAA tournament. Of course, there were always doubters. Even coaching legends like Geno Auriemma questioned whether Clark's game would truly translate to the WNBA level. Well, last night, those questions were answered loud and clear. For the very first time as professionals, Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers went head-to-head as the Indiana Fever hosted the Dallas Wings. But this wasn't just another regular season matchup. What unfolded on the court became a historic night. One that only Caitlin Clark seems capable of delivering. Not once, but twice now, she's made WNBA history in ways no rookie has ever done before. If you're excited to hear exactly which records were shattered on this incredible night, drop a comment below. CC Record Breaker. Let's get into it. Imagine this. Two teenage basketball sensations rising through the ranks and capturing attention all across America. From the very beginning, it seemed inevitable that their paths would continue to cross. Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers first went head-to-head during their high school days, both earning recognition as elite recruit, but with very different skill sets and personalities. Clark was known for her explosive scoring ability, remarkable court vision, and her limitless shooting range from beyond the arc. On the other hand, Bueckers impressed with her smooth, efficient style, a deadly mid-range game, and a basketball IQ that easily matched Clark's. Even back then, it was clear these two were destined to become centerpieces of the women's basketball world for years to come.
Hey, Caitlin. You've known Paige since middle school, AAU. You guys were on the U19 World Cup team together. Is there anything that maybe stood out then about her, whether it be on or off the court, that maybe still reigns true today?
I mean, I feel like she's played in the same manner that she, has since she was, whether we were on the U16 team together, U19 team together, whether it was me watching her in AAU. Like, she's always just been smooth. She takes what the game gives her. Her midi has always been as nice as it's been this year. She just plays way older than she is. Like, she's confident, she's smooth, she just does everything at a high level, can score from all three levels, and that's how she's always played, and that's obviously translated really well.
Their journeys through college basketball took very different routes. Paige Bueckers chose to join the legendary UConn Huskies, a program built on a tradition of excellence under Hall of Fame coach Geno Auriemma. With multiple championships already under their belt, UConn was viewed as the safe choice for anyone seeking a shot at glory. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark made a bold move, committing to Iowa, a school still searching for its first taste of true dominance on the national stage. That decision set the stage for some of the most memorable battles in NCAA tournament history, with both players' legacies hanging in the balance. It was Clark's Iowa squad that ultimately stole the spotlight, ending Bueckers' championship dreams in March Madness. Clark delivered on the biggest stage with jaw-dropping performances, including a legendary 41-point game that sent UConn packing far earlier than expected. In their head-to-head matchups, Clark walked away victorious in 2 out of 3 meetings, clearly outshining her rival when it mattered most. As the rivalry grew, so did the attention. Fans and analysts alike began taking sides, fueling what would become one of the most talked-about matchups. A rivalry that seemed to extend far beyond the college game itself.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin and all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
Geno Auriemma wasn't shy about sharing his opinions on Caitlin Clark's game. He openly questioned her shot selection and expressed skepticism about how well her style would transition to the WNBA, especially when compared to his own star, Paige Bueckers. In Auriemma's eyes, it was Bueckers' fundamentals and polished, efficient style that seemed better suited for success at the next level. Their contrasting games, Clark's explosive scoring and Bueckers' smooth, methodical approach became symbolic of two very different visions of basketball excellence. Both players represented the future, but through very different philosophies on how the game should be played.
And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. You know, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement.
Both Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers eventually declared for the WNBA, leaving fans eager to see when they would finally face off at the professional level. With Clark holding a 2-1 advantage from their college matchups, the stage was perfectly set for their highly anticipated first WNBA showdown. But this time, new questions surrounded Clark, especially about how her game would hold up against tougher competition in the pros. The hype around this game was enormous. ABC picked it up for a national broadcast, fully aware that this rivalry would attract basketball fans from coast to coast. For Clark, the stakes couldn't have been higher. After some recent struggles with the Indiana Fever, this matchup wasn't just about a win. It was about protecting her reputation and proving she belongs on the biggest stage.
Our player development coach yesterday, and he was like, just sent me a few things of like even Steph going through a slump. I think he was like 27 for his last 70 or something like that. Like the best in the world go through it, and I think that's like where you can find your confidence. And I think the thing I always fall back on is like, I know how hard I've worked, so you know this isn't something that's going to last, and the best players in the world go through this. So I feel like I'm getting good shots, and I think that's why it's frustrating, because those are the shots that I make.
But this is where the story really takes an interesting turn. Heading into this highly anticipated matchup, Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever were struggling. The team had just come off a series of disappointing losses to opponents they were expected to beat. Both the Los Angeles Sparks and the Golden State Valkyries handed the Fever defeats that left fans puzzled and frustrated. These weren't dominant teams by any stretch. They were matchups the Fever should have been able to handle with ease. Yet, the results told a different story. And with the spotlight getting brighter, the pressure on Clark and the Fever continued to build.
I feel like this stretch, you know, this is a big game for us. I think we've struggled in the fact that we're able to play one good game, and then we play a bad game, then we play a good game, then we play a bad game. So I think for us is like, we got to find a way to be able to stack really good games together. And then we go on the road, and, you know, we're on a back-to-back, which is just a challenge in itself. No matter who you're playing, we play Connecticut, then we play New York. So I think Steph's message was, you know, yes, All-Stars coming up, that break's coming up, but our focus is on these 3 games that we have left. So in that sense, I do think it's critical that our focus just remains on the game in front of us. And I feel like that's what everybody in the locker room is doing.
Behind the scenes, there was a growing philosophical divide within the Indiana Fever. At the heart of it was a clear difference in basketball strategy between Caitlin Clark's fast-paced vision and Coach Stephanie White's preference for a slower, more methodical approach. Clark wanted to speed up the game, pushing the tempo and capitalizing on fast break opportunities. Meanwhile, White favored a more structured half-court system that prioritized control over chaos. This clash of styles wasn't just about basketball. It created genuine tension within the organization. Clark's strengths have always been on full display in transition, yet the system around her seemed to limit that part of her game. The tipping point came during a heated exchange on the sidelines during a matchup against the Atlanta Dream. Cameras captured the moment as Clark and Coach White had a very visible disagreement. The intensity of that exchange left no doubt. This wasn't just a difference of opinion. It revealed the deeper conflict brewing beneath the surface.
There is definitely something going on within the locker room, the front office. Something is off, man. This is the 3rd situation in one game we have had involving Caitlin Clark and the coaching staff and pretty much another player. And it looked like Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime.
The situation only became more complicated as lineup inconsistencies started to take their toll. Caitlin Clark was still working her way back from injury, trying to regain her rhythm on the court. At the same time, Wnba, or perhaps you meant Demiris Dantas, had recently returned after representing her national team, further shaking up the team's rotation and chemistry. These adjustments disrupted the flow of the Indiana Fever's offense, making it nearly impossible for the players to find consistency in their roles or establish any reliable rhythm. Rotations felt unsettled, and offensive struggles became painfully obvious game after game. Missed shots began piling up, turnovers ruined promising opportunities, and the fast break offense that Clark typically thrives in seemed to disappear altogether. Even Clark herself acknowledged the team's frustrating inconsistency, admitting, "We'll play one good game, then follow it up with a bad one. Then we bounce back, then struggle again." It's been hard to find any real momentum. Her own shooting struggles during this stretch became a growing concern. Clark didn't hide from it. She recognized she was in a slump, but stayed confident in her approach. As she said, "I'm never going to stop shooting," even comparing her situation to Steph Curry's well-known cold streaks, reminding fans that even the best shooters go through rough patches. The Fever eventually managed to snap their losing streak with a much-needed win over Atlanta, but despite the victory, the underlying tension between Clark and coach Stephanie White remained unresolved. The philosophical differences weren't fixed. They were simply put on pause. For now.
You know, it can be frustrating when your shot isn't going in the way that you want it to, but then like I look at the box and it's like I'm really 4 shots away from having a really good game, a really good shooting game. So that's where you find your confidence, and I know those are shots that I can make, and I'm never going to stop shooting. So, I mean, until I break out of it, I'm just going to keep launching, and that's all I know, and I'm still confident in everything that I can do.
The matchup against Dallas quickly shaped up to be the ultimate test. Would coach Stephanie White finally allow Caitlin Clark to play the up-tempo style she thrives in? Or would the ongoing clash of philosophies continue to limit the team's full potential? That internal struggle set the stage for what felt like a defining moment, especially with Paige Bueckers watching from the other side, and Clark determined to prove her style of basketball could succeed at the professional level. And then something finally changed. In a pivotal decision, Stephanie White gave Clark exactly what she'd been asking for all along. Against Dallas, White made the bold choice to let Clark dictate the tempo and run the offense her way. This wasn't some minor adjustment. It was a complete shift in coaching philosophy. For the first time, Clark had full freedom to lead the team at the pace she believed would unlock their true potential.
Lee Rue the other night had a season-high 18 points. Here's Boston turning the corner. Dishing to Hull. Extra feed Clark. A deep 3. You bet! And he actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well. Right on the money to Mitchell.
Cunningham attacked the closeout.
Clark, the rejection of Quinterly. Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown Fever.
In the early moments of the game, it wasn't immediately clear whether this new approach would pay off. Both teams spent much of the first quarter feeling each other out, testing their strategies and adjusting on the fly. The Indiana Fever looked solid, but far from dominant. They were slowly starting to find their rhythm, but nothing about their performance screamed breakthrough, and at least not yet. Caitlin Clark was doing a great job getting her teammates involved, setting up opportunities and keeping the offense moving. However, the explosive moments fans were hoping for hadn't quite arrived. Meanwhile, the Dallas Wings were holding their own, keeping the game competitive and making it clear this wouldn't be an easy fight.
Here's Clark being hawked by Isaiah James. Clark sidestepping 3 is good. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot, fading away and dropping it in. Beautiful. Here's Clark off the screen. Through the lane, feeds Howard. Another assist for Clark. That's 13 as Howard is up to 18 points.
Then came the explosive second quarter, the moment where everything finally started to click. Caitlin Clark began pushing the tempo like never before, taking full control of the game's pace. She delivered those signature full-court passes, like the kind fans often refer to as touchdown passes, hitting her teammates in stride and breaking the defense wide open. The Indiana Fever exploded for an incredible 36 points in that single quarter alone, outscoring Dallas by a staggering 21 points in just 10 minutes. This wasn't just good basketball. This was the game played at its highest level, fluid and unstoppable. It was more than a scoring run. It was basketball poetry in motion.
And he actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well, right on the money to Mitchell. A tenacious start from Caitlin Clark. Here's Wnba off on a three. Long rebound. Mitchell, you're not going to catch her. Kelsey Mitchell in for two. They elevate each other because of how hard they compete. Nice look. Aaliyah Boston with a gorgeous dime to Kelsey Mitchell.
Caitlin Clark's leadership on the court sparked a remarkable response from her teammates. Kelsey Mitchell found her rhythm early and simply couldn't miss. She poured in 20 points on an impressive 8 of 12 shooting performance, extending her streak of double-digit scoring games to 21 straight appearances. Mitchell seemed energized by Clark's pace and playmaking, knocking down shots from all over the court. Meanwhile, Natasha Howard was running the floor with incredible effort, finishing with 18 points on a near-perfect 8 of 9 shooting. Her relentless attacks at the rim made her look unstoppable throughout the night. Inside the paint, Aaliyah Boston continued to dominate with her size and strength. She capitalized on nearly every opportunity Clark created, finishing plays with authority and controlling the interior on both ends of the floor. The chemistry between Clark and Boston looked flawless. Clark's speed repeatedly drew defenders, leaving Boston wide open for easy, high-percentage baskets. It was clear this Fever team was finally starting to click, and Clark's leadership was at the heart of it all.
Mitchell bounces. Boston, one more time. This time, Mitchell delivering. And Boston up to 13 points. Indiana shooting 66%.
What made this performance truly stand out was just how historic it became for the Indiana Fever. They put up a franchise record 64 points in the first half alone, the most efficient, fluid, and exciting brand of basketball the team had played all season. This impressive mark broke the Fever's previous record of 63 points set back in 2016 against the New York Liberty. Even more impressive, those 64 points were the highest scoring half by any WNBA team during the 2025 season. The Fever also tied a franchise record with 30 assists on the night, and 13 of those came directly from Caitlin Clark. It was undeniable proof that when given the freedom to run the offense, Clark wasn't just a scorer. She had the ability to elevate everyone around her. The ball movement was exceptional. Every pass seemed to have purpose. Every possession felt like it could lead to a highlight. Sophie Cunningham provided a huge boost off the bench, bringing energy and scoring at the perfect time. She chipped in 13 points, including a strong driving layup that pushed her past 1,500 career points. Her shooting and hustle added yet another layer to Indiana's offensive attack, one that Dallas simply couldn't find an answer for.
Cunningham the rebound. Cunningham swiftly up the floor, finds Howard for two. Sophie Cunningham making a huge impact off the bench, and Dallas will take a timeout.
In this lineup, Natasha Howard is the quickest post player.
That explosive second quarter wasn't just impressive. It tied for the third highest point total in a single quarter in Indiana Fever franchise history. During this stretch, the Fever shot a remarkable 76.2% from the field, executing with precision and confidence. They went on a blistering 33-9 run that spanned nearly 8 minutes, completely overwhelming the Dallas defense. The Wings simply had no answers for Indiana's pace, energy, and execution. As the game wore on, it became clear this wasn't just a win. It was a blowout in every sense of the word. Dallas looked tired, disorganized, and unable to keep up with the Fever's relentless transition game. Caitlin Clark's vision for fast-paced basketball was on full display, and it worked to perfection at the professional level. This game wasn't just about securing a victory, it was about proving that Clark's style of play could thrive and dominate in the WNBA. For the first time, Coach Stephanie White had fully embraced Clark's approach, and the result was nothing short of historic.
Good dub. 2 in a row. 2 more to All-Star. Let's go. Woo!
W. Oh, Fever Dogs, you already know what's coming. Bow, bow, bow! On to the next. Hell yeah! Can you use that one? Let's go, baby. Give your Christmas. W. Now we gotta go get another one.
But here's the moment that fans won't forget. The moment that cemented Caitlin Clark's place in WNBA history. This wasn't just about winning a game. While leading her team in dominant fashion, Clark was quietly putting together a stat line that had only been accomplished once before in the history of the league. She was impacting the game in every way imaginable, scoring when it mattered, setting up her teammates with precision, and then adding something special on the defensive end. As the game went on, the numbers started stacking up. Clark finished with 14 points, showing she could score efficiently without forcing bad shots. She recorded 13 assists, once again proving her ability to elevate everyone around her. But it wasn't just offense. On defense, she began making plays that felt almost instinctive. Clark was reading passing lanes like a seasoned veteran, anticipating the Wings' next move before they even made it. What she was putting together wasn't just impressive, it was something truly historic.
In bounds. Clark backing down Quinterly. 6 to shoot, fading away and dropping it in. Beautiful mid-range fadeaway from Caitlin Clark.
And then came the moment that officially made history. With her 5th steal of the night, Caitlin Clark completed a stat line of 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals. A combination so rare, it had only been accomplished once before in WNBA history. Now, Clark stands alone as the only player in league history to achieve this stat line twice in her career, but Clark's defensive impact went far beyond just those 5 steals. She also recorded a key block that immediately turned into a fast break assist to Sophie Cunningham. That single sequence highlighted exactly what makes Clark so unique: her incredible court awareness and ability to turn defense into instant offense. Throughout the game, she consistently disrupted Dallas's offensive rhythm with her anticipation and instincts. Every possession felt like a potential turnover waiting to happen whenever Clark was locked in on defense.
Cunningham attacked the closeout.
Clark, the rejection of Quinterly. Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown fever.
Sophie Cunningham runs the route and puts her hand up in the air, gives Caitlin Clark the target, barely over the fingertips of Hines Allen. Beautiful, beautiful pass, catch, in stride, finish. Beautiful basketball.
Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings simply had no answer for Caitlin Clark's complete and dominant performance. One of the most telling signs of Indiana's control was the struggles of Wnba, who went 0 for 10 from the field and finished with just 2 points. Auriemma, typically one of the Wings' most reliable offensive weapons, was completely neutralized by Clark's defensive pressure and the Fever's overall team defense. Her tough night only highlighted how thoroughly Indiana controlled this matchup from start to finish. Dallas's strategy of trying to play physical with Clark completely backfired. They tried everything from grabbing her off the ball to refusing to switch on screens, but none of it worked. Clark simply used their aggression against them, creating easy looks for her teammates and attacking the basket with purpose. Every time the Wings tried to slow her down physically, Clark responded with poise and precision, making them pay for every mistake. The final score of 102-83 said it all. Clark silenced every critic, answered every doubt about her readiness for the WNBA, and delivered a performance that went far beyond just another win. This wasn't simply a good game, it was a statement. A statement that Caitlin Clark belongs among the league's elite. This historic outing wasn't just about adapting to the professional level. It showed she's redefining what's possible. And as for the rivalry with Paige Bueckers, a new chapter has begun, and Clark just wrote the opening pages in dominant fashion.
I feel like this was one of their best games as far as playing Fever basketball, which is a fast fast-paced style of basketball. They played Fever basketball for, I would say, about 75 to 80% of the game. And we have obviously seen this style of basketball, the style of basketball that we all know and love from the Indiana Fever, but we have only really seen it in short spurts. There have been so many games and so many times throughout this season where it feels like the Fever system is a slow down basketball type of system. Their offense wasn't running smoothly, but in this game, they were playing quick. They were moving the ball around. They had so many points off of the fast break.
The moment has arrived. Caitlin Clark has officially proven she belongs among the WNBA's elite, while making history that only she can claim. This dominant victory over Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings showcased exactly what the Indiana Fever are capable of when Clark is allowed to fully play her game. Franchise records were shattered. Individual milestones piled up. But more importantly, the team's chemistry finally came together the moment Coach Stephanie White trusted Clark's vision for how this team should play. With the second half of the 2025 season ahead and this rivalry between Clark and Bueckers just entering its professional chapter, basketball fans have every reason to be excited about what's coming next. The Fever will face tough road challenges against Connecticut and New York, but with Clark at the helm, this team looks ready for anything. If you're fired up about Caitlin Clark's return and the future of the Fever, make sure to comment CC Record Breaker down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the action. Click the video on your screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.